This dude abandoned humanity after simping for a blue alien. Well, better than my taste in women.
Welcome to Avatar, where crippled ex-marine Jakey, who can't afford to fix his screwed up spine cause economy, inflation, and other big words, is jaking around getting kicked out of bars for fighting cause you can't take the marine out of me, and gets approached by only audible once entering shot guys with suits who give him some news about his brother, specifically that he is dead. Just him, no one else. Maybe the rest of his family died, who knows. And they want him to fill in his bro's underwear and take his spot in this thing that he was gonna do that uses his genome, and since they're brothers they have the same genome, so same, you know my name, lucky do, we use you. No one understands what I'm saying. Okay, he's gonna do a mission his brother was supposed to do, alright? Which is on an Earth-like planet called Pandora that is only 5 years of space travel away, and on this planet humans are there to do what humans do best, people of color. And when he gets there, he attends a security meeting given by annoying hard-ass guy, then meets a bunch of scientists who are all amazed of how similar he looks to his brother. Crazy, who'd have thought that twin brothers would look alike? Yeah, dipshits. And he sees his avatar, which is his mission here. He's supposed to link up to it and go intermingle with the natives and stuff, and he's the only one that can use it because it was coded to his brother's genes and he has the same genes. I said this before, but in a stupid way. You get it though, you're not a dumbass. The next person he meets is the main scientist lady that is not impressed with his presence because he's kind of retarded and she wanted his scientist brother. But he like, well sorry, he's dead, bitch. So she goes right on over to the head honcho of this operation, Mr. Babyface Asshole, to complain. And he doesn't really care, he just wants to win over the natives so he can mine their shit for a very hard to obtain resource called unobtainium. I kid you not, it sounds like somebody came up with that name on the shit can, but whatever. Despite her best efforts, tensions have never been higher with the natives. So later, Jake gets shoved into an MRI machine that's supposed to connect him to his avatar body using Wi-Fi, some shit. And as soon as he gets into his blue-ass, giraffe-ass body, he ignores all doctor's orders because he's got legs, functional ones, and he Forrest Gumps around a bit till he meets Grace, the I don't like your dumb marine-ass doctor, but in her Navi. That's not a CSGO team, that's the name of the natives. In her Navi avatar body. And after they kip in for the night and he gets back into his human body, disappointed because of his dead controller noodle legs, he meets Letty Toretto. What is she doing here? And what am I doing here? This is not the right channel. I gotta go, man.
Alright, back to my boring ass self. Jake meets with Colonel, who is pushing brutal speech like weights. The Colonel is impressed with Jake and his accomplishments. Still, Pandora is much more dangerous than Venezuela, Nigeria, and even Detroit. I didn't write these lines, don't cancel me. He also believes Avatar program is a joke. I guess he's more of a Russian president approach type, but it offers an opportunity to learn more about natives, how to make them move from the precious materials, and how to kill them if they don't. America. The Colonel links to a surgery that will get Jake's legs working again. Jake is clearly sold out to promises. Then the Colonel climbs into an AMP suit, a bipedal exoskeleton used for missions on Pandora, and moves off. Jake returns to his avatar and flies over Pandora's surface and Trudy's gunship, along with Grace, Norm, and others. Oh, look at this picturesque nature. Love Oregon. Pandora. The crew lands in a forest where Grace and Norm take some biological stuff from the flora and make measurements. At one point, they get into the old school where humans used to teach the locals English. But something happened. Something including bullet holes. And locals aren't returning anymore. America moment again? Jake is astonished by the surroundings and gets into a field of helicordian flowers. They are tall and shrink at Jake's touch. Heh. Oh, you're getting split up with your team? Then it's time for problems. Meet Titanothere, a heavily armored, hammer-headed creature that looks aggressive. Grace orders Jake to stand his ground and not shoot, or else the animal will get even angrier and charge. It won't help. The boy is too thick to get any damage from your toy pistols. Jake holds it and even runs on it. Wow, it worked. The baby is scared. Huh, silly. Look behind. Meet a panther-like Thanathor. If it makes the huge animal run, you know it's a real danger. Mr. Beast then turns to Jake. Grace tells him to run, not the type of animal to get tricky with. Jake gets pursued by the Thanator and totally separates from his blue team. He loses his gun and is grabbed by the animal but manages to free himself by releasing his backpack. Ultimately, the pursuit leads to a waterfall where Jake jumps to safety, leaving the Thanator roaring above him. Epic stuff. It's night and we see Jake sharpening a long stick into a spear. Jake is being watched from above. This time, it's a local Navi girl. The girl aims an arrow at Jake and is about to shoot but stops when a small, ethereal luminescent creature lands on her bow. Later, we will learn that they are very pure spirits, also known as Seeds of Awa, the Navi's all-powerful god. Thanks, spirits. Guess I'll hit the church next Sunday. Meanwhile, Jake's crew search for him, but Trudy says they'll have to get back to base since night ops are not allowed. Grace says he won't last the night. I don't know, he seems to be a decent survivalist and Bear Grylls subscriber. Jake dips the end of his spear into a combustible pitch-like liquid, lights the end, and uses it as a torch against the viper wolves that laugh like hyenas and encircle him, teeth bared, jaws gnashing. The animals attack Jake, but our man fights back, killing some and being taken down by others. The blue girl who was observing Jake joins the battle on his side. She kills some viper wolves and causes the rest to flee. She gently puts some of the whimpering wounded animals out of their misery and says prayers over them. Jake wants to thank the girl who saved her, but the girl's angry. She slaps him with her bow and tells him all these deaths are his fault. The wild beast that tried to eat Jake did not need to die, and he should go back to where he came from. Kind of racist. Oh nice, I love some challenges when approaching the girls too. Sometimes I love the challenge even more than the girls. Okay, why did you save me if you're so angry? Jake asks. You have a strong heart, no fear, but stupid. Oh, that's exactly what girls love. Nice. You've got some cheek clapping potential here. Jake attempts to follow the girl up into a tree, asks for help, and says he wants to learn. Sky people can't learn, she says, and tells him to return. But suddenly, the seeds of Awa reappear and start to land on Jake. He gets covered by them, making an impression on his new soon-to-be girlfriend. Who's an earth monkey now, eh? The girl gets easy on Jake immediately and orders him to come with her. While Jake tries to keep up with his rescuer, Neytiri, but let's call her Ney, because it's funny, he gets felled by a bolo thrown by a patrol of Amatikayan warriors. Their leader is Tsute, next in line to the throne of the local people, and the man Ney will be forced to marry someday. Oh wow, tell that to the Democrats. Ney stops the angry locals from harming Jake by telling them there's been a sign from the Awa. Tsute, or whatever, orders his men to bring him along to Tashik, father, and Awa, mother. Jake gets to the tribe camp. Locals look at him like high school kids used to look at me when I came to school after 3 months of playing League of Legends at the local computer club. Jake is presented to Ney's parents, Etuyukan and Moet. Close enough. Oh wow, isn't it too early to meet the parents? I know these tribe people are classy, but they just met each other. Ney's parents are the king and queen of the tribe. Stonks. Marry her with no regret. Jake declares to the elders that he is a warrior, a dreamwalker, and he wants to learn for them. Moet pierces Jake's chest and tastes his blood, saying it is the will of Awa for him to live with them and Ney. She's not so happy to be his teacher. Nah, she's acting in front of her parents. Remember, it's her who brought the dude in the first place. After a ritual gathering, Jake gets to his bed. A leaf high up in the home tree encircles him like a cocoon. He falls asleep and human Jake is revived. In the morning, Jake turns into a rock star. The crew catches every one of Jake's words. Norm looks envious. He was the teacher's favorite boy before. Even the military and corporate reps have a hard-on for Jake. And here's why. Home Tree sits atop a huge deposit of unobtainium. Hence, Jake appears to be their best man to convince the tribe to move or advise the colony on how to force them to do so. Oh nice, so the only place where you want to dig is the home of the tribe and their most sacred tree? What a coincidence. Jake's informed that he has 3 months to achieve his objective or they'll arrive with bulldozers. Darn corporations. At least we have Pride Month. In the following days, Jake's avatar trains with Neytiri, while human Jake reports on his experiences via the video log, which he dictates daily. He bonds with his dire horse, an important animal to the Na'vi. They are connected now. The process looks disgusting. I wonder how these locals connect with each other then. Jake has a difficult time learning how to control his pony, while Neytiri and Tsute keep calling him Scone, which basically means moron. Oh nice, they began treating him like people do. Human Jake reports on the home tree's infrastructure and other Na'vi details. Scientists learn about it and move their camp to the Hallelujah Mountains so Jake can stop sneaking all those tribal secrets to the army boys. Basically, they're on floating islands sacred to the Na'vi and rich in unobtainium. Looks marvelous. Ney introduces Jake to Ikran, a flying mountain banshee. She can carry locals too, but Jake is not ready to ride in it yet. Jake makes a video blog about learning the locals' language. It's like field stripping a weapon. Eventually, you'll learn it. I tried the same method with math. It didn't go that smoothly. Ney also teaches Jake about the Na'vi-Force connection. Apparently, all energy is borrowed and we must give it back one day. Einstein moment. Jake starts to enjoy time being an avatar more than his human time. Can't blame him. Ney looks gorgeous. Sorry, what was I talking about? Jake also bonds with Grace, who tells him the army killed Ney's sister and many other local kids. Wow, that's a miracle Jake got his place in their camp. Being an avatar, he hunts and kills his first animal and gives it prayer. Neytiri says he is ready to get his own Ikran. To reach the Banshee's nest, Jake must accompany Ney, Tsute, and 2 other Na'vi trainees to the highest place in the Hallelujah Mountains. It's a dangerous lesson, but Jake's lack of fear helps him successfully mate with the Banshee. Wait, what? He immediately goes on a spectacular ride, and after a few seconds, he already says he was born for it. Well, at least he has earned some respect for the move. Jake, Ney, and the band are on a wild hunt when suddenly they get attacked by a giant and brightly colored flying mountain banshee called Toruk. Neytiri says its name means last shadow, because its shadow is usually the last shadow one ever gets to see. The thing attacks like a giant shot of absinthe does. Back at Home Tree, Neytiri shows Jake the skeleton of a Toruk. She shares that her grandfather's grandfather was the last person to ride a Toruk. The man used the animal to unite the 5 Na'vi tribes in a time of great sorrow. He earned the title Toruk Makto, Rider of the Last Shadow. Jake gets back to human form, not enjoying it at all. Oh man, I had the same feeling when I was playing Lineage 2. Out there in the real world. And here's the dream. It's a lie, Jake. Don't follow my mistakes. The world out there is a computer game and the pretty elf girl you're in love with is a 40-year-old chubby hairy dude. The colonel comes over to congratulate Jake. Your mission is accomplished, son. It's time to go home. And as a reward, you'll get your legs back. Leaving today. But Jake wants to delay his departure. He's got one last initiation with his anime friends. He believes he can then negotiate with the Na'vi to relocate. The colonel seems doubtful, but agrees. Jake attends a Na'vi ceremony. According to Na'vi beliefs, he learns that every person can be born twice. The second time is when you earn a place amongst blue locals. Neytiri takes Jake to a place of prayer, the Tree of Voices, where they circle him. Oh wow, reminds me of when I was part of Scientology. Jake and Nate bond with the Tree of Prayers where he hears his ancestors. Jake can now make a bow from the sacred tree, and clap with a woman. Oh, at last. I thought that moment would never come. There's so many fish in our blue sea, Nate says. But Jake had an eye on this particular crazy girl since he met her. They nap together under the tree, and Jake wakes up back in the lab. Oh man, 5 more minutes, please. In the morning, Nate wakes up from the sounds of construction work. Loud neighbors? Nah, it's bulldozers. Seems like the army boys got tired of waiting for Jake while he clamped blue cheeks. Soldiers advance while the forest falls around Nate, who drags Jake while he's still asleep. He's getting ready to link with his avatar. When he finally revives, Jake boards one of the bulldozers and tries to stop it, destroying cameras and drawing some gunfire. The colonel recognizes Jake and his avatar. Ouch, someone's in trouble. At Hometree, the Na'vi want war. Grace and Jake come trying to chill the locals, but Tesute finds out Jake and Neytiri are mated. Well, you know what's coming. Tesute tries to attack Jake, but the boys say he's one of them and the humans are their enemies. Suddenly, Grace and Jake's avatars fall unconscious. Oops, angry colonel is here. He arrests Jake for trying to stop the bulldozers. That's what you get for trying to be friends with Greenpeace. Grace and Jake stand before RDA and military brass. Grace stresses that Pandora's trees form a network with more neural connections than the human brain and that the Na'vi can join the network. Yep, it's like the internet there, and it's obvious that the locals will never give up Hometree. Colonel learned that thanks to Jake's video diary. So the war continues, but humans get heavy losses, so Parker and the Colonel discuss options. Mr. Warcrime wants to launch an attack on Hometree with gas bombs to drive out the Na'vi. Jake finds out and presses to be allowed to be returned to the tribe and convince them to leave. He's granted 1 hour to achieve the mission. They give this man too much freedom if you ask me. Jake and Grace are back, and Jake reveals his mission, that he was there from the start to learn all their secrets and give them up to the humans. Bad idea. His girl gets mad and rejects him. Jake and Grace get bound and left behind by the locals. Blue people prepare to fight against the humans. That's what you get when you're trying to reason with tribes. Wait, that's kinda racist. Meanwhile, Uncle Sam has arrived in a large fleet of flying ships. They launch gas canisters into Hometree and the surrounding area. Tribes try to fight back, attacking helicopters with arrows. Well, now you understand why they celebrate Thanksgiving Day. Helis start bombing the root structure of Hometree and locals massively die. Moat, Nae's mom, frees Jake and Grace and asks them to save the tribe. Now you're talking. Right about time. Just when the tree gets torn to the ground, Nae's father gets killed by a large piece of shrapnel. His dying wish is for Neytiri to take his sacred bow and take the leadership of their people. Jake finds Nae and gets rejected again when he tries to calm her down. Yeah bro, not the best moment. Army boys get Grace and Jake out of their avatars and arrest them. Norm is also arrested for trying to stop soldiers. Suddenly, Trudy arrives at the cell. Turns out she's not a fan of the war crimes approach, too. She releases Jake, Grace, and Norm and they try to escape on a ship. The rebels successfully flee the base, but Grace gets wounded by the colonel. The team flies Judy's ship to their lab in the floating mountains and they take a pod to another spot in the forest. Jake returns to his avatar body. Jake hopes the locals will heal Grace with their traditional medicine stuff. Nice. I once ate a mushroom from a Native American cellar. Weird stuff it was. Woke up in Arkansas. Jake wakes up in his avatar as an outcast and betrayer. He understands that he has to do something exceptional to regain the trust of the locals. A pair of used razors won't work. So he summons his Banshee and goes out on a hunt for Toruk. His strategy is simple. Since no one is willing to attack Toruk, attack it from above. Bold move. Respect. I made my first girlfriend like this. While locals pray under the Tree of Souls, Jake arrives on a brand new badass Ferrari. Toruk. Swagger. The locals are stunned, parting before him. Works like a charm. He comes to Nae holding her arm and saying, I see you. No shit, you even touch her. Tesute, the tribe leader, concedes Jake's new role of Toruk Makto. Guess you can buy respect with a new ride after all. Jake gets straight to the point, asking Moat to help Grace, who is dying. Moat begins the preparations. She gets Grace's human and avatar bodies in place at the Tree of Souls. They want to permanently transfer Grace's consciousness to her avatar. Moat says that Grace must pass through the Eye of Awa, but the Great Mother might choose to let her go into the avatar self, or she might choose to have Grace remain with her. Unfortunately, the ritual is not successful and Grace dies. Rip in peace. At least she saw Awa before departing this stage of existence. Heartbroken and furious, Jake speaks as Toruk Makto and says it's time to send a message to the Sky People. It's there, the Navi's land. Nice, Jake betrays humans now. But to do so, they must first visit each Na'vi clan to ask them to come and fight united. Tesute becomes the tribe's new clan leader and helps rally other clans to fight with them. The colonel is aware that the locals' army is growing. It's got to 2,000 within a day, but there will soon be 20,000 furious blue people. Ouch, is it time to leave Pandora for good? Nah, colonel here won't let some tribes overrun the human perimeter. They must begin a preemptive attack while they still can. The plan is to turn a space shuttle into the carrier of a massive bomb and nuke the Tree of Souls. Yeah, nukes. America moment again. The bombing will happen at 6 the next day. Humans hope that if they destroy the Tree of Souls, the Na'vi will disappear and never return. Jake finds out about the military plan, so he approaches the Tree of Souls and bonds with Awa to get some help. Neytiri approaches Jake and tells him that Awa does not take sides. She protects the balance of life. Well, you should do something now. Awa or the life will be destroyed for good. Colonel is ready to attack. He brings up a huge fleet to protect the Valkyrie shuttle, the one that will nuke the sacred tree. The United Na'vi won't let this happen. The battle begins. Casualties mount on both sides. Humans have big guns, but locals are on their home grounds and use Akrans pretty well. Guess the bow can be effective after all. They seriously gotta nerf that thing in Apex Legends. Meanwhile, Colonel somehow spots Jake and his Ferrari Toruk pursues and shoots him. Trudy arrives and attacks the Colonel's command ship. Neytiri's Banshee is shot down and killed. Tesute bravely boards the main ship and gets killed in the attempt. Trudy dies when her ship is destroyed by the Colonel. Norm's avatar is mortally wounded, so he jumps back to his human form. Jake tries to connect to anyone, but soon realizes they're all dead. Meanwhile, the bomb ship is close to the Tree of Souls. At least Neytiri is alive. Jake commands her to retreat. Suddenly, an enormous battalion of Titanotheres, Pandora's heavily armored dinosaur-like animals, arrive and smash up the Earth's forces. Yeah, go aliens. Yeah, I realize I've somehow switched to the alien side. Sorry humans, Pandora is the future. Humans get eliminated real quick. Seems like Awa indeed hurt Jake. I guess the goddess is not so neutral after all. A motivated Neytiri rejoins the fight with all the Pandora Zoo. A monstrous Thanator appears nearby and bows to Ney. Guess who got the cool ride now, Jake? Jake boards the bomb ship and grenades it. The big machine crashes in flames and explosions well away from the Tree of Souls. Jake is unstoppable. He also throws explosives into vulnerable parts of the command ship. It begins to burn and go down. Colonel puts on an AMP suit and jumps free of the command ship before it explodes, managing to shoot down Jake's ride. Colonel finds himself at the temporary camp set up by Grace. Whoa, what a coincidence. Colonel wants to destroy Jake's pod but gets attacked by Neytiri and her Bentley. With the aid of his exoskeleton suit, the Colonel kills the bride and Ney gets trapped underneath it. But before the Colonel has a chance to kill Neytiri, Jake arrives in his avatar. The two engage in combat. The Colonel in his amp suit versus Jake's avatar, armed only with a piece of pipe. Epic. Jake smashes the suit's plastic canopy. The Colonel pops it off, dons a breathing mask, and before moving off toward the structure that houses the pods, asks Jake how it feels to have betrayed his race. You think you're one of them? Time to wake up. He angrily states as he smashes into the mobile lab looking for Jake's pod, trying to destroy it and human Jake. The battle resumes. Jake is grabbed by the arm of the amp suit and hangs from it before the Colonel. Meanwhile, Neytiri still tries to free herself. Come on girl, it takes you ages. The Colonel gets Jake closer and reaches for his knife, trying to slit his throat. Suddenly, Ney shoots an arrow at the Colonel, right in the center of his chest. A 100-point shot. The Colonel, reeling, cannot proceed with killing Jake. Neytiri's second arrow lands right next to the first. Colonel falls to the ground. However, the lab has been damaged, leaking into the planet's poisonous atmosphere. Human Jake is awake but has difficulty breathing and trying to get a mask on. Neytiri arrives and helps Jake with his mask. Cradling human Jake, she says, I see you. It's the first time the pair sees each other face to face, so they literally see each other at last. Jake's avatar finds dying Tesute, who makes Jake the new leader of the Blue Locals before being finished by Jake. Alrighty then. Back at Hell's Gate, the remaining humans retreat to a shuttle to be sent back to Earth. A few Locals friends like Norm and Dr. Patel are invited to stay on Pandora, the smartest of our race. Jake signs off in his final vlog sharing that he has chosen to transfer his consciousness to his avatar forever. So he has chosen the virtual world. Sad. In a ceremony like the one Grace had, Jake passes through the Eye of Awa and wakes up in his avatar with Neytiri watching over him. Well, I guess you can call it a happy ending, but not for the human race. Moral of the story? Betray humanity to clap blue cheeks.